during COVID, there was this thing of like kind of wondering, is this it? Is this the end? Is this how it all comes to an end? How many of you had that feeling, wondering if it's like, because everybody was talking about the end times, right? It's like, is this how we go down? And I started asking the Lord, well, what's your perspective on all of this? And he directed me to his word, which is a really good place to go. Let's turn to Matthew 24:14. What does it say? And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world for a witness to all the nations, and then the end shall come. Notice that it's the gospel of the kingdom. It's not only just the gospel of salvation, it's the gospel of the kingdom. What is the gospel of the kingdom? Kingdom means the king's domain. So the good news of God's domain on the earth. All right, let's go back to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 28. Because God's mandate has never changed for mankind. He told them to have dominion and to rule. Have dominion and to rule. That has never changed. Jesus is coming back for a glorious church. One without spot or wrinkle or blemish or any such thing. Not a remnant that's struggling to survive, but a glorious church, right? If one reads the book of Ephesians, the picture of who we are and what we have, it's just amazing. And I don't think we've fully grasped yet everything that God intends for us as his body, as believers, right? Ephesians talks about us knowing the hope of his calling. What are the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints? What is the surpassing greatness of his power to us who believe? Just to give a little bit of history, God's plan was to reveal himself to all of mankind, and that ended with the flood, and he was left with Noah and Noah's family. And then God started over again, basically, with Abraham, and he raised up his descendants, the nation of Israel, to show what God intended for all nations. In Genesis chapter 12 and verses 2 and 3, he spoke over Abraham, and he said, I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and curse whoever curses you. And all the peoples of the earth. This isn't just for the children of Israel. All the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you. That's us. All the peoples of the earth being blessed. And so this promise was given to Abraham. And then, so God's intention was that the nation of Israel would reflect him. Reflect who he was, his goodness, all of his blessings. He just abundantly blessed them, and that they would reflect that to the world. And his intention was that they be a nation of priests who heard from God, reflected God. Let's turn to Exodus chapter 19 and verse 5. When he spoke to them, and he said, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you will be my own possession among all the peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. A kingdom of priests. What does a priest do? Primarily, the priest would hear from God, right? You will be a kingdom of people who hear from God. What was their response? In Exodus 20 and verse 19, and then also Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 24 to 27, God came down on Mount Sinai, and the people were trembling with fear because of the thunder, the lightning, the smoke, the fire, the earthquake. And they told Moses, speak to us yourself, and we will listen. But let not God speak to us, lest we die. They basically refused to be his nation of priests. They didn't want it. God was too fearsome for them. Moses tried to convince them otherwise, but they wouldn't listen. So God had to instead raise up the Levitical priesthood to hear his voice and to speak to the people. But after Jesus redeemed mankind, we see in 1 Peter that Peter is declaring to all of us what was God's intention. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, that you should show forth the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness and into his marvelous light. How many of you have heard that verse for years and years and years? And it just kind of goes by, right? You are a chosen race. God chose you as his race, a royal priesthood, a people to hear from him, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession. Ephesians talks about us being his inheritance, that we should show forth the excellencies of him who called us out of darkness and into his marvelous light. This isn't a survival mentality. This isn't just I got born again, so now I got my ticket to heaven. No. God has commissioned us and called us to be a reflection of his light and of his glory on this earth. He finally has his desire for a chosen people, a royal priesthood who will listen to his voice. That's us. Let's turn to Isaiah chapter 60. I need to turn my Bible here. Isaiah chapter 60, and we can see this prophecy that Isaiah had so many years ago. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For behold, darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the peoples. Doesn't that sound like the earth today? Darkness covers the earth, deep darkness the people. And there's too much focus on that darkness by the church. They said it would happen. Darkness is going to cover the earth, deep darkness the people. But the Lord will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you, and nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. That's our portion. Not the darkness, but the light, to reflect the light of God, his presence in our lives, his power moving in our lives. Kings to the brightness of your rising. Lift up your eyes round about and see. They all gather together. They come to you. Your sons will come from afar. Your daughters will be carried in the arms. Then you will see and be radiant. And your heart will thrill and rejoice, because the abundance of the sea will be turned to you, and the wealth of the nations will come to you. If you don't see yourself there, spend some time meditating on those scriptures, reflecting on, this is who God's called me to be. Not just to go through life, go through the motions of life, but to rise and to shine, to reflect him, to reflect his glory. The church of the Lord Jesus Christ is meant to rise and shine in this day and age. We as God's people are meant to shine in the midst of darkness, for nations to come to our light. I want to talk about Abram versus Lot. The prophecy over Abram that he would be blessed to be a blessing, and that he was a righteous man. Well, his nephew Lot was also called a righteous man. You see it in the book of Peter as well. But it says his righteous soul was vexed because of what he went through. And so Lot, because of the environment, he lived in Sodom and Gomorrah, surrounded by immorality. And he was oppressed, it says, oppressed. He let the environment around him influence him. He let the environment around him drag him down. He didn't fulfill his purpose. He let himself be a thermometer, reflecting what was going on around him, rather than being a thermostat like Abram was. What is the difference? A thermometer tells you what it is, right? A thermostat changes the environment. A thermostat sets the environment to something different than what is. All right? God has called us to be thermostats, not thermometers. I want to show you some practical examples of some things that this is kind of a short message, so I haven't given you a lot of background on myself. I work in women's economic empowerment in Zambia. I did a master's degree. I studied international development. 2 weeks after graduation, I moved to Zambia. I'd previously lived most of my adult life in Zimbabwe, dodging in and out of Zimbabwe because I didn't have proper permits, but for the last 40 years, I've lived in Southern Africa. And so my passion is really economic empowerment and seeing the nation where I currently am, just that we add value to the resources that are there, that the copper that's there, the gemstones that are there, so many other things that are there, that we add value to them and begin to see people prosper and succeed in life. And it's the exact same thing here in Eswatini. You have resources. I've talked about how the Chinese are flooding to this continent. And it's like, well, why? Not for jobs, for the resources. The resources that are here that many of you don't see. The opportunities that are here that so many of you don't see. So I want to give you a little reflection of what we've done in Zambia. I didn't have any money. I came here basically with my suitcases in debt. And, God has blessed me. We've taken what we had in our hands. Our women's conference this week was, what do you have in your hand? But we took what we had in our hands and we've continued to add value and to grow what we had. So if we can get that first slide up there of the stuff. This is a video. Can you play the video? Here we are at the Zambia Art and Design Show. We've got some of our copper. We've got wall art. We've got Christmas decorations. We got chandeliers. Our copper jewelry. Tables. Banana fiber rugs. And then a myriad of chandeliers. Some of these are made with Coke cans, beer cans. Some are made with amethyst. Some are made with quartz. Some are made with plastic water bottles, electrical wire, a real variety. And then we've got more of our copper jewelry, some wall art, some extras of things. So we did this Zambia Art and Design Show. I've been working with about 140 different women, predominantly refugees. This was at the show. We did Christmas ornaments in copper. The women have been making copper jewelry for about 12 years, and we've launched into other things. We've done chandeliers and things like that, but we had done Christmas ornaments. Let's carry on. And so this is an example of what we've done of making something out of nothingness. That's plastic water bottles on the left. And on the right is wax paper chandeliers. Okay, carry on. This is some copper jewelry. We trained 20 young women in Mufulira, Zambia, with Mapani Copper Mine. And they paid us to come in as consultants and teach women how to make copper jewelry. This is what, in the course of 3 months, these 20 women achieved. And people are just blown away. What? They made that? Did you make that? No, they made that, right? And so now we are marketing this range of jewelry, very nicely done, very basic, just made out of electrical cable only. And let's go on. I'm trying to remember how many slides I have up here. Is there any more? That's it. Okay, that was all I put up there. So those are just some basic things that we've been doing. As I said, I've been working with about 140 women, and they are making things in the handmade sector, handmade products that we're marketing on their behalf to help them create income. That was my dream. It is my dream. It's my dream to grow that and to expand it. I want to encourage you to go after your dreams. You know, God's purpose for us is to be a kingdom influence in every sphere of life, whether it be government or business or education, media, arts and entertainment, family, or faith. No matter what it is, it's His plan and His purpose for us to be an influence, to change our world, okay? For our light to shine and people come to that light. I want to end with Isaiah chapter 61, some parts of that. Isaiah 61 and verse 6. But you will be called priests of the Lord, people who hear from God. You will be spoken of as ministers of our God. You will eat the wealth of nations, and in their riches you will boast. Instead of your shame, you will have a double portion. Instead of humiliation, they will shout for joy over their portion. Therefore, they will possess a double portion in their land. Everlasting joy will be theirs. For I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and the burnt offering. And I will faithfully give them their recompense. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them. We have a covenant with Him. And their offspring will be known among the nations, and their descendants in the midst of the peoples. And all who see them will recognize them, because they are the offspring whom the Lord has blessed. That is your portion. If you will claim it, if you will walk in the light of it, if you will embrace it.